Non-fungible tokens are blowing up right now, and there's no signs of slowing down. You have people like the Wu-Tang Clan releasing some of their stuff as non-fungible tokens. You have people burning Banksy pieces, art pieces that Banksy made himself, and throwing them on as an NFT. And even Gary Vee, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anyone chill NFTs more than this guy. So today, we're going to talk about the current state of NFTs, if it's sustainable, where we're currently at, and how NFTs will inevitably change the world, in my opinion. So without further ado, let's get into it. So as you probably already know, NFTs aren't a new thing, and they've actually been around for quite some time. But it just turns out that, the UI, in terms of like the functionality of some of these websites and applications that are coming out, they're finally coming up to par with the actual tech side. The tech side has always worked. NFTs have always been a thing, but it just so happens that now finally that you have NBA Top Shots coming out, you have, which is, by the way, I think one of the creators of CryptoKitties, and a whole bunch of other applications as well, like OpenSea and Rarible, that it's finally coming to a point where people can actually use the two together in a very easy way. I mean, I'm kind of surprised, and it makes sense why there's such a mania behind it. But even more so, what I really wanted to kind of touch on was just how crazy this stuff is really getting. We can see that currently NBA Top Shot is one of the top dApps in terms of NFTs, in terms of marketplaces, that is, with a total volume of $262 million and about 141,000 different traders. Now, again, those traders, it probably just means, different wallet addresses that are connected. So it could technically be one person has two wallet addresses or whatnot, but that's still quite a lot of people interacting with it. As you can see, I mean, that's a 371% increase in terms of how many users are actually on NBA Top Shot. And that's not only that, you have OpenSea, got CryptoPunks, Rarible, all these different marketplaces are growing exponentially. So just taking a quick look at NBA Top Shot, we can clearly see that, just in the past 7 days, they've seen an increase of users from about, what is it, like about 19,000 users in March 4th, all the way to over 130,000 just yesterday. And then in looking at a 30-day timeline, we'll see that, although the users haven't really been there, you can see that the volume of money, just how many transactions were being placed, how much money was being used, we hit an all-time high of about $48 million being, transacted with back in February. So, this is I wouldn't say this is a top indicator by any means, because you'll see, pretty much what this is telling us is that, yeah, there were a lot less users back in February, and they were playing with a lot more money. But, now that a lot of people are kind of getting hip to what NBA Top Shot is and actually, getting their feet wet in this whole ecosystem, they're kind of bringing in their own money. And, it always tends to be that there are a very small amount of whales that will come in, kind of use something before the masses get to it. And I think that's kind of what happened here. You had a bunch of, I wouldn't say whales, but people who are probably familiar with crypto, and probably a couple whales, were using it back in February when the hype was quite big, and people are just now starting to get hip to it. We saw a huge uptick in terms of users. Jeez. But I wouldn't be surprised to see the volume actually follow through, hopefully soon. Because to me, a top indicator would be like, all right, you got a lot of volume, obviously, very small amount of people, but then you have a lot of people coming in, and the volume isn't really reaching that height that it was. So am I saying that that's the case? Not exactly. It could potentially be, but I do think that there is a little ways to go in terms of a top for all these NFTs and whatnot. But the next I wanted to look at was OpenSea. OpenSea is going to be one of the biggest marketplaces, other than Rarible, of course, to buy and sell some of these NFTs. And just taking a look at the past 7 days, it's pretty, I would say OpenSea is a little bit more, I averaged out, a little more even in terms of how many users and activity. 30-day period, obviously, they didn't have that many. Back in February, they had about 522 users, a volume of 615 ETH. But even now, it's a lot more. 6 times the people, about 3 times the amount of ETH, a lot more than they had before. But and then if you're taking a look, obviously, at quite some time ago, NFTs were almost nothing. But you can see that they've been around for quite some time. This is February of 18? That's crazy. NFTs have been around for a minute, but it's just now that things are kind of catching up. Now, the main reason why I'm kind of quickly going over a lot of this stuff is just to show how big the space has grown. Just literally these past 2-3 months. There's a lot of people getting into NFTs now, and I did want to just kind of hone in on the fact that, it's just getting started, I think, for the most part. It's getting so crazy that you can literally buy, like, digital clothing for thousands of dollars, It's crazy. I'd probably wear the one on the right. I can mess with that one. But of course, with all these different applications and all these different people using them, there's got to be one that really kind of reigns above, right? Like for example, what's the most expensive NFT that we can find, right? What's the most expensive non-fungible, non-physical token that we can find? Well, it's actually, you don't really have to look too far to find it. Turns out that Jack Dorsey, CEO, founder of Twitter, as well as Square, he obviously has been a well-known Bitcoin shill for quite some time. Shouts out to Jack, by the way. Lovely guy. I've never met him, but I'm sure he is. And he actually went ahead and the other day tweeted and said that, you know what? Well, he actually didn't say anything, as you can see. He just tweeted out this little tweet. Click on it right here. It takes you to something called Valuables by Cent, which is essentially an NFT platform where you can sell your tweets. And if you're taking a look at the pricing right there, you'll see that the highest offer for Jack's tweet to buy the first tweet on Twitter, this is technically the first tweet on Twitter, it's $2.5 million. What? $2.5 million right now is how much Jack's first tweet on Twitter is going for. I think this is the first tweet in general on Twitter in general as well. I mean, come on, guys. Now listen, I'm not going to say this is a top indicator, but this just goes to show how far along we're coming in terms of the NFT space. I mean, the fact that someone's willing to pay $2.5 million for a tweet. I mean, listen, anything is worth what someone's willing to pay, right? I will always say that. But what I will say is that I'll be surprised if that guy can sell for any more than that. And the main thing is any of this sustainable? Well, the other day I actually went ahead and live streamed with a couple homies in the chat. We were kind of just talking about NFTs, what was going on in the space and all that stuff. And we kind of came to the conclusion, and if you guys were in the chat, you can let me know down below. We kind of came to the conclusion that yes, there are tons of NFTs, right? There are, NFTs like Gary Vee made, for example. They have NBA Top Shot. You have artist NFTs, of course, NFTs in the form of music. At the end of the day, I think what it is there'll be two types of NFTs. If we're being very general here, very general, you'll have the very popular NFTs, right, that will stay in the public eye and stay relevant for time to come. And you have everything else, pretty much. And that's how I think and the NFT space will end up being. Right now, that's not the case. Right now, almost anything that's an NFT will go for money. I mean, I could probably tokenize this lens cap, and it'd probably go for who knows how much. Probably wouldn't go for anything, but you get my drift. The point is that the popular NFTs have the highest the probability of retaining their value. In this case, that could be actual art pieces, for example, from a museum, one-of-one pieces from very famous people, etc. Whereas the other ones, when all this stuff dies down, when all the hype dies down, you're going to find it very hard to sell it because there's no market for it. No one's going to give a shit about this weird lens cap that I decided to tokenize. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of why I wanted to make this video. A little bit of a PSA for people who are buying NFTs right now and are investing them in the long term. I think it's a very risky thing to do for the long term, depending on what kind of NFT you're buying, right? You could almost kind of relate it to in terms of like ICOs back in 2017, right? Back in 2017, again, if you're in crypto, ICOs were the craze. Any project that was having an ICO, and people were speculating like crazy on them, and people were making a lot of money too. However, obviously, I think the main argument with that one is just the fact that ICOs are more speculation. These projects didn't really have anything going for them, so I can get where people would make that argument. But even more so than ICOs, think of the internet. Right, the internet at some point was a bubble. When it was first introduced to people and they were able to invest in these websites and all this other stuff, things went up like crazy and then they crashed down like crazy. Whereas this is kind of just like that, if you think about it. In this case, the NFTs, right now they're going up like crazy and a lot of people are getting into them. There's going to be a time where the whole market, for the most part, will crash and dip. But there is going to be a lasting effect, and it'll actually end up living in our society, just like the internet is now. You're watching this in the internet, but who would have known years ago, after the internet bubble crashed, that the internet would actually be this thing that we literally like almost need to live, that we use every day. I think NFTs is going to be very similar, right? And it'll almost be in the form of things that you might not even realize that's an NFT, right? Like I mentioned an app called Huddlin the other day. Just to mention again, it's like a social media app where you can post your own content on, right? Stuff like that where you won't realize that NFTs are like the technology behind it, but you're still able to use it to your advantage. So in terms of that, I think they're going to be very sustainable in the long run. But But in the short term, it's very speculative, in my opinion. Unless you're buying like the Mona Lisa, then in that case, that's different. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I like to kind of get into now when we're talking about NFTs changing the world. Where the internet changes the world as we know it by far. The internet was the last major innovation. Blockchain is the next one, and anything that comes along with it, including. But NFTs really are going to be very important. You can apply NFTs to music. So, in this case, it's almost like giving artists the final opportunity to actually, start their own record label, make sure that they're not held at the whim of these other different record companies, and actually have ownership of the content they make. You can tokenize your art, your music, right? You have books, right? Obviously, right now, books and even movies. I think certain books and movies are banned from certain countries or certain jurisdictions because who knows why, bro? I have no idea. In this case, you can just tokenize those things and have them literally able to be, whether it be downloaded or viewed anywhere across the world on the blockchain. Patents as well. You can patent something and it'll be worldwide instead of country specific. There's so many different ways you can use actual NFTs, and so many ways that they're going to be used in the future. And that's, to me, is the most exciting thing about how NFTs will end up working. Obviously, right now, it's mainly just flipping stuff and making money off NFTs that are virtually worth only what people are willing to pay. But that's the future of them. And not to mention, I saw something really cool on Twitter, and I'll post it up over here, of course, too. AR glasses, augmented reality glasses, that'll be dope. That'll be dope. You know what I'm saying? So imagine seeing some really, really cool NFTs like that you bought on, obviously you bought on the blockchain a little while ago. You buy these AR glasses. Let's say you got these glasses over here, and you're able to like see your NFT, like you can hold it. That would be so dope. That would be awesome, bro. But stuff like that and stuff like this would, in my opinion, will change the world in the long run. But it just has to catch up with it. Right now, there's a huge mania. There's a huge mania behind it. Again, I don't think it's quite over yet. I think there's still quite a lot of people that haven't really heard about NFTs or still really aren't into it. But I don't think that it's that far either. Just to be clear. And now, just some ending thoughts. Like everyone else, I think that NFTs are fire. As I mentioned, I do think that they're in a mania right now. They're very extremely hyped. And obviously, with every mania, a lot of people will get hurt once the hype does die down, because they won't be able to find a buyer for their one-off crap NFT that they thought would be worth millions, but only paid a couple of bucks for. But such is life, and all we can do really is wait for more platforms like NBA, OpenSea, DigitalX to continue to innovate, bring us closer and closer to a permissionless society, because that's what NFTs will do at the end of the day. It will bring us closer to a permissionless society. It'll give us content creators the ability to monetize ourselves, and even regular people like you. And yeah, it's pretty endless what the opportunity has with NFTs and just blockchain in general. So shout outs to the people that came to the live stream where we did chop it up about NFTs. I can link it above right here. I'll put it down in the description. Comment below. I mean, do you guys have NFTs as well? I would love to know, what you guys are holding. Yeah, I want to dig into your pockets. No, let me know what you guys have in terms of NFTs. I'll see if I can leave mine down below as well. I think I only have like one or two. Maybe that's why I'm salty. I don't know. Am I salty? I don't know, dude. I'm just trying to keep y'all safe. But at the same time, there's still a lot of money to be made. So only spend what you're willing to lose. Okay. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.